Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Patriots 2 channel. I just want to start off by saying I'm a little disappointed in Trump for two things this week. One, promoting Lindsey Graham for another election. I would not vote for Lindsey Graham if my life depended on it, no matter who endorsed him, including Trump. I just think that's a bad move. He is not a Trump supporter. He is a snake in the grass, and there's got to be somebody better to primary him. I'm even willing to go as far as to see who Elon Musk is going to throw up there to primary Rhino Lindsey Graham. That's the way I feel about that. And second thing I got to complain about this week about Trump is how he's handled this whole Epstein situation. Well, this is what I believe and what Bill O'Reilly says is the reason that it's such a volatile subject. The news media, if you get an Epstein list that say shows up tomorrow on X or today on my channel on X later in the video, and you realize, holy crap, there's tons of people on this list, well, immediately the media is going to run with it and say they're all innocent or they're all guilty. Most likely the latter. Well, as a part of that, some of those people, like Alan Dershowitz, probably wasn't doing the nasty with the kids. He was probably just the lawyer. And then there's other people like the hairdresser, and there's probably pilots and several people that knew what was going on, but you couldn't prove that they were a criminal. You can't prove that they're a criminal. There's people that were probably hanging out with Epstein at different times in his life, or seen with him, or maybe he had their phone number for some other reason than the pedo thing. The point is Bill O'Reilly says Trump didn't want to go down this road, has been hesitant since day one, because the media or people in general are going to automatically assume everybody's name that is mentioned, from the Leonardo DiCaprios to the Bill Clintons, are just automatically guilty. Well, we know Bill Clinton's guilty. No alleged to that. Now, Leonardo DiCaprios and the other hundreds of people that are going to be implicated when the lists start coming out, because the government's not going to be able to hold this back. The people want answers. Trump can't blow it off. It's not going to work. So now we find out the way they worded their explanation the other day, their sentence, to say the case is over, investigations are done, all this, that, and the other. Well, they're not done. There is information that they have that they're not giving to us, so the information is not gone. It's just they feel like it is not relevant enough to prosecute or investigate any further, so they're tiptoeing around the fact that they have got stuff on people and they don't want to go down that road for a couple of reasons. One, because they don't want to paint people guilty the minute their name is mentioned if they're innocent. I get that. But at the same time, you've also got to do a little bit of investigative homework and look into the people that were involved, and not just the creeps that were showing up on the island, the rich people. That's not just the problem. Those were the Johns. The problem, they're a problem too, but the problem was the people that were helping recruit. This Les Wexler guy, the Victoria's Secret owner, the guy that had all those young models that couldn't make it in the modeling world, so they had to find another profession. I'm sure they probably worked their way down. Some of them worked their way down to Jeffrey Epstein, and through Les Wexner. Les Wexner gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney and ability to hang out and live in his multi-$100-million properties. So that tells you a whole lot about Les Wexner's trust in Jeffrey Epstein after only a few years. So they either had dirt on, they were either working together, or Epstein had a lot of dirt on this guy. But him being Victoria's Secret founder, owner, along with a lot of other investment groups, I have to believe that he was part of the problem as well. So he needed to be investigated. People like that, the people that were not just in the know or were part of the problem, messing with or being a part of it, but the caterers, those are the people that are probably still in business today, whether they're in this country or another, still operating, making money off trafficking humans, trading humans, renting out humans for whatever somebody's sadistic purposes or sexual freak showness is. I mean, it's sad. No matter what age they are, these people will cater to whatever somebody wants if you got enough money, and that's the point. It's such a sad situation that the people like that need to be dealt with. Just as much as I want the people that were doing bad things to these kids taken care of, more than that, I want the people that facilitated that. That's what I think is the head of the snake. Find out who's funding and who's facilitating it. How many countries are involved? How many governments are involved? How many rich people are in this inner circle of creeps that are doing this thing we can't even talk about on YouTube? But you know what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and get into it. I got several breaking pieces of information that come out today, including a supposed hackers Epstein list that came out today and is going. I've been cruising on it's going viral, I do believe, by the end of the day, at the rate it was moving minutes ago. But let's go ahead and get into this, but I won't give any credibility to that because I can't back it up with any other fact than somebody on X said it. But let's go ahead and get into this. We got a couple clips here. First, we'll start off with the old Cash Patel. I don't know who the new Cash Patel is, but the old Cash Patel. Here we go. This is going down memory lane with the guy that used to want to stop crime. Bust out the Jeffrey Epstein list.
Yeah. You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
It's the FBI, too. It's the CIA, too. It's the DOJ, too. It's not just Congress. They're guilty as well. They're complacent. But these three-lettered agencies are corrupt. They're hiding the truth, and I believe it has to do with other countries and our own CIA being a part of the whole ring, the P ring, the pedo ring, in order to facilitate what they wanted out of it, whether it be getting somebody on film doing something they could blackmail them with, whether it be being able to listen to the Saudi prince while he had sex with a 9-year-old. Who knows what the FBI, CIA, DOJ, three-lettered intel agencies' purpose was behind taking people like Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy and even Barry Seal, and instead of arresting them, putting them under their wing. There's a pattern here, and that was just three. There's a pattern here that shows that our government agencies do not have a problem with breaking the law, breaking God's laws, breaking all morality codes that I've ever imagined were solid. And they don't think twice about it. They cover their own tracks. They're willing to, I'm going to say it, kill to cover their tracks. They put up cover stories. They do distraction. They do illusion. They do everything they know how. They do obfuscation. It's the other guy's fault. And in the end, nobody ever goes to jail, even when they're forced to admit it, because the evidence is compelling. Then you have somebody like our guy, our Cash Patel, go in there and go, I want to fight crime. I'm here to expose everything. And then he gets in there a week later, I see nothing. That's a problem for me. And I think it is because there's more involved than just people, rich people. I think it's more than just the inner circle of rich people that are going to go to jail if they break this out. I think there's a lot of factors at play, including the innocent people that will be run through the mill and look guilty, whether they're guilty or innocent. But the fact that probably other world leaders and other people that may affect our economy are on these guilty lists. I'm not going to say the Epstein list makes you a guilty person if you're on that list, but if 2 or 3 things factor in and you're still hanging, you're part of the problem. All right, folks, let's get into the way things are versus the way things were just months ago with Cash Patel. Now, we've got Tom Fenton from Judicial Watch is fighting Pam Bondi with the Foia request. He tells the courts it's still Pam Bondi says the DOJ tells court it's still reviewing Epstein records for potential release while publicly signaling it's game over. So that is breaking news as of 11 o'clock this morning. Says the DOJ under AG Pam Bondi has been caught speaking out of both sides of her mouth, while DOJ insiders quietly tell a federal judge they're still sifting through Jeffrey Epstein's sordid records, including a potential names of high-profile clients. The very same agency issued a memo declaring no more documents would ever see the light of day. Judicial Watch, the conservative watchdog Tom Fenton group recently relentlessly pursuing accountability, revealed in a July 7th court filing that the DOJ and the FBI claim that they are still reviewing records in response to a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit seeking documents in the Epstein network of elites. These records include names of clients, communications regarding infamous clients list, and all other material housed within the FBI DOJ Treasury trove of sealed files. Now, it is our constitutional right to request a FOIA request on information, and in most cases, they can't deny you. Just one day after prior A-Leak DOJ FBI memo surfaced claiming the government has already provided the maximum information, has no intention of releasing anything else. This is a blatant bait and switch. The Justice Department and FBI are sending out contradictory messages telling the American people that no more Epstein material will be released, while telling the federal court in our case that the Epstein FOIA review is proceeding, said Tom Fenton. We will be releasing relentlessly in demanding transparency under the law. And Tom Fenton has got a couple of clips about this. He says, but no matter what, our FOIA lawsuit on Epstein material continues. We will relentlessly in demanding transparency under law. Tom Fenton is a great one to follow over here on the X and on YouTube. Judicial Watch, they're kind of like a O'Keefe Media Group or Project Veritas. Heritage Foundation. There's several groups of conservative lawyer groups out there that do some really great investigative homework, including getting FOIA requests, including a lot of citizen journalists as well. I consider them more than citizen journalists. But at any rate, here's some more breaking news that happened earlier today, not long ago. Alan Dershowitz says the DOJ is suppressing Epstein client list. He's calling it out. He's one of the top lawyers in the country. He was on the Sean Spicer show.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. To protect them, and that's wrong.
All right, let's watch
this is
the
not
whole
an
thing.
opinion. This is a fact. I have seen. Remember, I was accused falsely, and the Epstein, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out, because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases and I can't disclose what I know, but I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
Just out of curiosity, without names, are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them. But they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators. So we don't have information about false accusers. And we know there have been many false accusers who have accused innocent people for money. And those records are being deliberately, willfully suppressed. And they shouldn't be suppressed. If the accusation is allowed out, so should the material that diminishes the credibility of the accuser. We want total transparency on this.
So what he's saying is there's a lot of blackmailing going on as to who is involved. Some of the people are the victims and claiming to be, or some of the people are victims, some of the people are claiming to be victims when they may be the perpetrator. It is probably hard to muddle through 20-year-old, 30-year-old history of people's sex escapades unless you have the video footage.
Every single document, no redaction. That's what I've said from day one. I waive any of my rights of privacy. Anything there is about me, I'm happy because it will be exculpatory, because I know I haven't touched a woman other than my wife from the day I met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't even hug people, but I was falsely accused and I was able to prove it.
Wow, that's just a prime example of what I was saying. Here we go with Tom Benton on Laura Ingraham on Fox. Not that I'm a big fan of Fox, but I do watch it sometimes because they do get some breaking news and some good interviews. I watch the channel more than anything because of the interviews they get, the people they get on their shows, because I'm not there for who's commentating, who is asking the questions. I'm there for what the interviewee has got to say. And so I don't mind a bit going to Fox or even CNN at times to find out what somebody's got to say, even if it's a little skewed. All right, folks, let's get into it. This is Tom Benton from Judicial Watch on the Epstein story with Laura Ingraham from Fox. This is mind-blowing right here. It says the Epstein list, the client list is real, and there's no doubt about it. The American people are not going to accept there is no list.
And is Tom Benton, Judicial Watch president, and Molly Hemingway, the Federalist editor-in-chief and Fox News contributor. Tom, here's what Kash Patel said about that Epstein client list shortly after he was nominated as FBI director. Watch.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something.
I just showed you the video, and for a good reason. This clip has went viral today. That's one of the reasons I brought it to y'all, just because it is a huge contrast. This was Benny Johnson with Kash Patel about a year ago when Kash Patel was on Team America. All right, folks, let's get into it. Tom Benton on the Fox.
What changed?
I think they decided for political purposes they didn't want to include the individuals who are on these lists and put them in the public domain. And they were concerned that some of them may not have done something warranting the disclosure. I mean, that's the most charitable interpretation. But there is a list. There's no doubt. I mean, they talk about in the memo they wrote, well, there's no incriminating client list. Well, what does that mean? I want the non-incriminating client list. And of course, a client list is a term of art, right? Where are his associates? Where is the list of contacts? And we asked under our Foia lawsuit, Pam Bondi, give us the documents that you say you were looking at. Give us documents about the release of these documents. You said the FBI was obstructing the release. They came back to us and said, we have nothing.
Molly.
Well, this is a proxy for what we've seen with so many big stories throughout the years, where the American people just want to know what's going on with assassination attempts, whether it's the one in Butler on Trump or the one that was successful against JFK, the Russia collusion hoax, the situation with Epstein. everyone understands that there might not be a,
smoking gun.
Right.
Or, yeah.
But no one feels very satisfied with the level of investigation that was taking place or the transparency. And it seems that the FBI and other government agencies care more about managing the narrative than actually just revealing the information that needs to be revealed.
And then we have interviews with former mobsters who actually was in the same jail as Epstein and had kind of a shocking claim. Watch.
Jeffrey Epstein would have to be a magician to try to hang himself in that cell. I was in that cell. There's no way there's nothing on the ceiling. The bedpost is this high. I couldn't even go to a restroom without them walking back and forth and having me on camera. There's no way he committed suicide.
Tom.
And Pam Bondi yesterday said that video they released isn't conclusive.
But it's a reset. That minute is a regular reset of the system.
And they're still looking for that minute. And to release video that doesn't show what happened in the cell isn't terribly persuasive. I'm not sure what they were expecting there. The fact is there are two competing forensic investigations, one by Epstein's family, which suggests that it was a homicide, and one by the examiner up in New York. He says it was a suicide. So given those issues, to say because the video doesn't show one way or the other whether someone went in there, to conclude, oh, well, there's nothing to investigate, seems odd. And they also said, we're not going to give you any more documents. And kind of with this, well, there are too many conspiracy theories out there. And I don't like to be dissed like that. And Americans, I think, by and large, have questions about Epstein. And to be told that,
he said that, I think Kash Patel made that point like a year before being nominated. But still, I mean, I think this all adds to the swirl of a bit of confusion about this and doubt. And again, the government only, I think, engenders trust among the American people with full transparency. So when Pam Bondi, and everyone knows how much I like Pam Bondi, I like her a lot. But when she says, well, those are basically never going to see the light of day. But who, was it downloaded child porn? Or were there individuals engaged in acts with children? That's the question, I think. And unless either of you know what the definitive answer is, I don't know.
I mean, they talk about 1,000 victims. I mean, so was Epstein the only victimizer for that number of victims? I don't think so.
Well, just again, in general, there has not been the appropriate level of information shared. We know that the guy, I mean, maybe he didn't kill himself, or maybe he did. Why? Why was he in prison? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell still in prison? Why are all these people talking this way? There's no way that we've gotten a clear enough explanation of what's going on. How did he make his money? How did he get associations with so many high-level people? People are willing to accept any number of answers, but they need to be treated like adults in the communications.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That is the problem I have. We are not stupid. Trump, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, anybody that is not questioning the statements that we've got lately, the DOJ's nothing burger of we used to have some stuff, but it went away. We got stuff, but it doesn't incriminate anybody. We got investigative material, but we're not going to investigate anybody. Come on now, what is really going on here? Now this here is another Benny Johnson clip. He has been on the Gateway Pundit every day this week, or almost every day this week. He has just had some of the greatest guests. I think that is a huge part of it. But it says, we have our first win. Judicial Watch says DOJ and the FBI are now reviewing records for the release in the Epstein Foia lawsuit. By law, they must release those records. That's how Freedom of Information Act works. The file exists and there is more to be released. Now that's exactly where they are. We won't stop pushing until everything is made public. Just like I was telling you about James O'Keefe. He is trying to get this information out there. He says, you got to give it to me. By law, I requested it. They say the case is over. Cough it up. They're not going to, or they're going to. If they don't, then it's going to go to court. They're going to get sued. It's going to be ugly. All right, folks, this is the last video of the day. This is from Barron Trump News, which is not Barron Trump. It is a parody channel. And it says, before I get into this, this is a long list, and I'm not going to read everybody's name, just the ones I recognize. But I'll try to go slow enough y'all can read some of them. But it says, this is somebody else's Maybe truth, maybe hearsay. I can't swear. But if this is true, this is seismic. This is blow the top off the roof kind of stuff. All right, let me put my goggles on. I got lots of reading to do. Wow, they're clean for once. All right, now I can't swear to this last article, all the information in it, other than this is somebody on. This is too new to be verified. Grok can't verify it because there's only one source of this information at this point, direct source. But this has been stirring for a whole minute for the last hour or so, I believe. It says the Epstein list says take this with a grain of salt or believe it if you want to. That's the way I'm going to leave it because I can't swear to it. Just had to put that out there. It says in a seismic overnight event already sending shockwaves through the elite social circles, a rogue hacker known as Island Boy has breached a protected internal media server and released the full Epstein associate list, a decades in the making web of names, secrets, and suppressed testimony. Oh, shit. The testimony. That's going to be the hanger right there. The files posted to a dark web archive at exactly 12 a.m. Eastern Time are said to contain the long-speculated Epstein list, a roster of individuals connected through flights, financial ties, party invitations, and suspicious silence. The release comes after years of speculation, half-leaked, sealed court files, and missing evidence. Island Boy, whose true identity remains unknown, issued only a short, cryptic message alongside the files. They buried the truth on an island. I just bringing it back to the shore. And he has got a massive list of people that he has supposedly got access to the information that are tied into the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Directly or indirectly tied to Epstein. Doesn't make them guilty of anything on the nasty at this point, so keep that in mind. Some of them we can assume the worst, but the rest of them is still up in the air. John Connolly, he was a New York police detective. Alan Dershowitz, we know about him being Epstein's lawyer. Leonardo DiCaprio, Al Gore, Richard Branson, he's the British billionaire. Guy's got that Virgin Airlines and the Virgin Group, the Blue Star, whatever it's called, competing with Elon with the rockets. Stephen Hawking, which we know that one to be a fact. Ehud Barak, former Israeli Prime Minister. Michael Jackson, Marvin Minsky, artificial intelligence pioneer. Kevin Spacey, the actor. George Lucas, the director. Jean-Claude Brunel, a French model. Kate Blanchett, the actress. Naomi Campbell, the model. Heidi Klum, the model and actress. Sharon Kircher, some kind of journalist. Let me scroll down a little more, folks. We're going to go a little faster. There's a bunch of them. Let's go with the ones we know. Bruce Willis, Bianca Jagger, Rolling Stone, Mick Jagger's ex-wife, Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, Cameron Diaz, the actress, Glenn Dubin, hedge fund manager, was a friends with Epstein. Dang, that's pretty incriminating. Glenn Dubin, he's to be looked into. And you're welcome to look at this list a little closer on my channel. All these things that I bring to you on my channel involving X-Posts, I do repost the stuff. So if you ever want to go back and dig a little deeper, you can at least come to this source and work your way backwards. Or have time to actually read this stuff a little more in detail than what I actually go through. Sometimes I just do the highlights and things. So you're always welcome to jump over on my X channel and find a lot of the stuff that I repost. Eva Anderson, former Miss Sweden, Naomi Chomsky, linguist, political professor, Tom Pritzker, I don't know who that is, a philanthropist, rich guy, Chris Tucker, the comedian, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, okay, former wife of Prince Andrew, we know Prince Andrew, of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's discussed that, James Michael Ostrich, I don't know who that is, husband and wife working Epstein's home in Florida, okay. Some of these people are probably not guilty of anything criminal, but we're going to finish going through. Okay, Leslie Groff, Epstein's former secretary, co-conspirator. Yeah, they need to talk to her. She was co-conspirator in a 2008 plea deal, but reportedly will not be charged. And here we go through a bunch of other names. Rebecca Boland, Dana Burns, Victoria Bean, Bill Gates, we know that one. Daniel Estes, Ron Eppinger, alleged sex trafficker. See, that's the guys they need to go hunt down and ask them the right questions. Oh, Louis Freeh, former FBI director. Yeah, that guy you got to ask questions to. See what he was doing with Jeffrey Epstein. Was he freaking or was he working with Epstein? Okay, we got hairstylist, butler, Doug Bann, longtime Clinton aide, who says he urged Clinton to cut ties with Epstein. See, that doesn't make him guilty. Prince Andrew, we know that one. I'm going down the list. Robert Giuffre, that's a victim. A victim's brother. Some of these people are victims. Sarah Kellen, Epstein's former assistant, named as an unindicted co-conspirator in 2008 plea deal. Yeah, anybody that worked with him that was one of his assistants or something, they probably knew what the hell was going on. And there is a ton of names on here, folks. I mean, just pages and pages of names. A lot of these, Abigail Wexner, wife of Les Wexner. Les Wexner, founder of L Brands and former business partner of Epstein, and he owned Victoria's Secret, which involved the modeling agency where probably a lot of the girls who didn't make it as a model ended up working with Epstein one way or another. With Epstein one way or another. Investigative journalist, probably not guilty. Kelly Spam, unknown person listed as flying on Epstein's private jet. Unknown person listed on private black book. Alexandria Dixon. Epstein's former household manager, jailed in 2012 for hiding and trying to sell Epstein's black book. So they need to look into this guy and find out a little more about the black book. Ricardo Legriado, Mexican designer, listed as a passenger on Epstein's private jet. Maybe he was just there to design clothes. Who really knows? And then there's some names that we know a little more fluently. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Yep, she was there too. Madonna, Joe Biden, and so many more. But we'll just go with that right there, folks. This is not a list of guilty people, but this is a list of people that were obviously associated with Epstein one way or another. There are probably a lot more that have been redacted, but we'll go with that, and we'll call it a day. Hopefully everybody was enjoyed or was at least informed. Like, subscribe, and share if you haven't done that type of stuff already. If you enjoyed the video, hit the button, hit this little thumbs up, whatever. If you really enjoyed it, share this thing out to somebody on a different platform. Works even better. All right, folks, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. I will see y'all tomorrow about this time. We will discuss the $1 billion contract that my job got that they have got going on right now that we had the newspapers out in the airplane hangars today. We'll bring that to you ASAP tomorrow when I got the full story in both news stations to corroborate. All right, folks, have a good one. Over and out.